I never thought I'd cry over a house. But when my mother told me she'd sold the home I grew up in, it felt like losing my childhood all over again. The creaky stairs, the porch swing, the smell of cinnamon on Sunday mornings, gone. I asked her why she'd done it. She just said, "It's time to move on." But something in her eyes, a flicker of fear, maybe guilt, told me there was more. A few weeks later, while helping her pack, I found a small wooden box hidden beneath the attic floorboards. Inside was a faded photograph, a letter, and a name I hadn't heard in 20 years. That's when I realized the house wasn't the only thing my mother was letting go of. The call came on a rainy Tuesday. I was at work, halfway through a stack of reports, when Mom said the words I never expected. "Honey, I sold the house." I froze. Our house, the one Dad built with his own hands, the one that held every Christmas, every heartbreak, every memory. "Why?" I asked, trying to sound calm. "It's too much for me now. Too many memories," she said. Her voice trembled. I could almost hear her tears. I offered to help her keep it, to hire someone, rent it out, but she refused. "It's time, sweetheart." That night, I drove back to my hometown. Seeing the sold sign stabbed into the lawn felt like a betrayal. Something inside me whispered, "She's hiding something." Walking through the old house felt like stepping into a photo album. The wallpaper was peeling, but I could still see the pencil marks on the kitchen doorframe, my height, year by year. Mom sat in the living room, boxes around her. "You're keeping this, right?" I held up Dad's old toolbox. She shook her head. "No use for it anymore." I felt anger rise. "No use? He built this place." She sighed, her hands trembling slightly. "Your father isn't the man you think he was." I didn't understand then. But when she left the room, I noticed something strange. A section of the attic stairs where the boards looked newer, replaced recently. And that's where I found the box. The box was small, dusty, and sealed with a piece of red ribbon. Inside was a letter addressed to Lillian, my mother's name, dated 20 years ago. It wasn't from Dad. The handwriting was unfamiliar, elegant, almost shaky. I read it, heart pounding. "Lillian, I hope one day you can forgive me." I had no choice. "Tell him the truth when she's old enough." It was signed M. I didn't recognize the name, but the tone, full of regret, made my stomach twist. When I showed it to Mom, she went pale. "Where did you find that?" "In the attic." "Mom, who's M?" She pressed her lips together. "You shouldn't have found that." Then she walked out of the room. For days, she avoided me. Until one night, over lukewarm tea, she finally said, "Your father wasn't your father." I felt my heart stop. "What do you mean?" She looked at me with tearful eyes. "Before I met him, there was someone else. We were young in love, but he disappeared. I thought he was gone for good." She paused. "When your father and I married, I was already pregnant." The letter. "Tell him the truth when she's old enough." It wasn't written for her husband. It was for me. "Why didn't you tell me?" I whispered. "I wanted to protect you." But all I felt was betrayal. From the one person I trusted most, I didn't speak to her for a week. She sent texts, left voicemails, even showed up at my apartment. I ignored them all. Then she wrote me a letter, just like the one I'd found. In it, she explained everything. How the man named Michael was my biological father. How he'd left when he found out she was pregnant, but returned years later, asking to meet me. And how my dad, the man who raised me, refused. Mom had kept the secret to keep the peace, to protect the family we had. But after Dad died, guilt consumed her. Selling the house wasn't just about moving on. It was her way of letting go of the lies that lived inside it. I confronted her. "I deserve to know who I am," I yelled. Tears streamed down her face. "You're my daughter. That's all that matters. Then why did you keep him from me?" "Because he hurt me," she cried. "And I was afraid he'd hurt you too." We shouted until both our voices broke. Then she whispered, "He tried to come back last year." I froze. "What?" "He sent me letters." I never answered. She handed me an envelope with a return address. For the first time, I saw his name in full, Michael Harris. My hands trembled as I realized he lived just 2 towns away. 2 weeks later, I drove to the address. A small white house with overgrown grass and a broken fence. He opened the door, older, thinner, eyes full of sorrow. "I knew you'd come," he said softly. We talked for hours. He told me about leaving, the guilt, the years he spent wondering what I'd become. He showed me a photo, me as a baby, asleep in my mother's arms. "I took this the day before I left," he said. "I thought I was doing the right thing." For the first time in my life, I saw my face reflected in someone else's. I didn't forgive him that day. But I understood. When I returned to Mom's new apartment, she was waiting by the window. Neither of us spoke at first. Then I said, "I met him." Her eyes filled with tears, but she didn't look away. "Did he tell you everything?" "Yes, and I told him I wasn't ready." She nodded slowly. "That's okay." We sat together, silent but closer than we'd been in years. The truth hadn't destroyed us. It had freed us. Weeks later, we drove by the old house one last time. A young couple stood on the porch, laughing. Mom smiled through her tears. "New memories," she whispered. And for the first time, I didn't feel anger. I felt peace. Sometimes the walls we build to protect ourselves become the ones that keep love out. My mother didn't sell the house to erase our past. She did it to finally tell the truth. I lost a home, but I found something better: understanding. We can't rewrite the past, but we can choose what we carry forward. And sometimes, forgiveness isn't about saying it's okay. It's about saying, "I understand why you did it." That's what I learned the day my mother sold our family home.